everyone, so I wanted to come on here before the painting portion of this video and do some swatches of the Kuretake SUMI ink set, which I would like to do some washes of these paints, or I guess they're technically ink, over some ink sketches that I will be using some dip pens with. Yeah, I haven't busted these out in a long time. I really like them. These are just regular handles that you insert the nibs into and change them out. And that stuff always was really confusing to me. So they have like little numbers on them, and I mean, there's so many different types to choose from. I just kind of went for whatever the marks were the easiest to make with, because some of them aren't that easy and they don't flow as good. And you know, I have not dedicated the time to investigating all the ins and outs of why that is, but I don't even know what to tell you as far as the size of these nibs. But anyway, yeah, I'm going to be using some dip pens with some noodlers ink. But for this portion of the video, we are just going to jump right into these swatches. So I'm going to flip it around because I like to have my my stuff in, like, you know, rainbow order, I guess you could say. The names of the ink in English and Japanese are on the other side of these pans. So from left to right, this is red, yellow, green, blue, violet, and brown. And there's no black in here because they're technically all a form of black. So this is a new Call mixed media sketchbook. So I'm not really minding doing the first page with some swatches, because, you know, if it looks absolutely horrible, I can just tear it out. But sometimes an intro page looks kind of cool, having the something like that, you know, patterns and swatches on it and stuff. So I also have, let me see, these are SUMI ink brushes, Chinese calligraphy brushes. Again, like, couldn't tell you exactly, you know, the specs on these. I got them in this bigger set that looks like this. It comes in this like bamboo roll up thing. And you guys would not believe how inexpensive this was. I mean, it looks like a very extravagant thing, but it's not. It's I think it was like 19 bucks for real for this whole thing. I don't paint large enough to use this. Look at this enormous brush. Doesn't it look like one of those like novelty things, like those big pencils you've seen when you were in elementary school? But yeah, that's what it comes in. And let's get started with the swatches. I'm just going to use this larger one. And we'll start with the red. So I just kind of wanted to see what I was working with, since it's been a while since I've used these, and I wanted to use these brushes with it too. So I'll make these swatches nice and big. And yeah, the ink is very saturated. I'm gonna put a little bit of water next to it just to see how much I can thin it out, and then you guys can tell, like, you can actually see the color, which, you know, in real life, like, the colors aren't as saturated as the camera ends up adjusting it to be. So once I upload this and look at it, I'm sure it's going to be brighter. But yeah, that is the 6 colors of the SUMI ink Kuretake set. And if you guys want to stick around and see what I do for the rest of the video, I will be painting in some hot press watercolor paper. Okay everyone, so this is the voiceover portion of the video, which I'm probably not going to talk too much. I just wanted to give some information on the pens and the ink and a little bit about my thoughts, and then I'll let you guys enjoy the rest of the painting, or this illustration, as I guess I would properly refer to it, since we're using ink and dip pens. So the nib that I decided to use was the stub nib, or better known as calligraphy nib. It is thin and broad, so depending on the angle at which you hold it, you can get about 3 millimeter width, or a 1, maybe more like a 0.7 line width. I am using the Inky Dinky Dippers. That's what these little things are called, in this glass dish here that I have them suction cupped to. They are little plastic wells that have screw cap tops, and they are just small enough and wide enough to fit the nib of your pen, so that you don't dip too far and get too much ink on it, which can result in dropping more ink on your page than you want to. And since it is not watercolor, it is not liftable. So yeah, especially if you're going in without a pencil sketch, you want to be relatively careful about how much ink you get on your nib. So the ferrule and the handle are very similar to what you would expect with a paintbrush. Operate very similarly, but you know, obviously this is metal. You clean it as you would a paintbrush, but you know, not to let the ink, just like you wouldn't with paint, dry on it, or it can affect the longevity of it. And in the beginning, I don't know if you noticed, but I was having trouble getting it going. Sometimes if you haven't used it in a while, it'll just be a little bit dry and kind of hard to get the ink going down in a flowing manner. So the color that I'm using is like a watered down black, and I think I ended up using that through the entire drawing. The other 2 colors are like a teal and a violet, and they are fountain pen ink, but the one I'm using is drawing ink. I believe it's Higgins black drawing ink. So yeah, this is Paul Rubin's hot pressed watercolor paper sketchbook. I've got about 4 pages left in this sketchbook, and I figured this would be a good way to fill one of them. I have not painted, drawn, or done anything art related in a couple of weeks, and yeah, sketchbooks are a good way to get you know, warmed up again. That's what they're for, right? Not very high expectations, but I wanted to use these supplies together. They do, you know, act a little bit differently than watercolor. As you see, I use a lot of water with it, but the way that it spreads, actually, this stuff moves a little bit more than watercolor, I would say. I guess depending on your different pigments, but you know, since the ink is thinner, it travels very quickly. So I got some bleeds going on in this painting drawing, but I wasn't mad at it. I mean, you know, it had a neat look to it. The little SUMI inks seem to be somewhat liftable. I believe that may be due to the fact that they have a lot of gum arabic in them, or whatever they use as a binder, which is similar to watercolors. So I could lighten them to a certain degree, and yeah, at some point during this illustration, you're going to see me check my water to see how dark it's getting, because with ink that can happen rather quickly. And I spill a bunch of water directly on my drawing. I blocked the entire thing, and all it really did was lighten it. So it, it's kind of a little happy accident. It ended up, having some little effects that I quite liked. So I will leave you guys to the rest of this artwork in my sketchbook, and I hope you guys are also enjoying creating, doing art, whatever way you express yourself and de-stress. And if you are painting along with me or getting anything out of this little illustration here, don't forget to leave me a like if you like this video, and subscribe if you haven't already. And with that, I will leave you to enjoy the rest of the video. Thanks for watching.